Welcome back to the Goonerverse podcast, everyone. Are Arsenal starting to get to grips with the January transfer window? Perhaps a busier one than we would have anticipated. I'm back with Sheroy. It's a Friday, which means we're in good mood. And it means that Arsenal can't bring us down. It also means we've had 6 days to get over Villa. So we don't have to retouch. Who says we have to talk football on a football podcast, Sheroy? You know, I don't think we need to mention it. We did beat Bruges.
It's funny that you led with that whole talking football thing. This is brilliant. I'm going to go straight into the comments from last week, if you don't mind.
Let's fly into them.
Is that all right? I know it's meant to be a story, but I just found this really, really entertaining. So, and this isn't a direct attack at you. I am going to use your handle, whoever you are, but it's just because you have to be identifiable. And I want to see you back in the comments. Tom Claydon, 92. Most people want to hear them talk Arsenal. That's why we started watching in the first place. Couldn't care less about these people's personal lives. Can't they have a chat in their own time? However, same video. There's a comment that says, Sheroy is an honest good friend. Who wants a hypocritical friend? He tells it as it is. You need to fix up, James. This is referring to the spider incident.
Yes.
Tom Claydon, 92, the man who's only concerned about football, immediately wants to get in the goss about our personal life and says, ooh, what happened?
That's so good.
I was just reading it thinking, I just read a comment saying that you weren't concerned about anything other than our footballing opinions. So thanks for giving me laughs on the train after this one dropped on. Really appreciate it.
Well, that's people. Sheroy's a lawyer, you know. Like you can't. Like he'll pick up on these things. Well done, Sheroy. Very good. Yeah, fair play. You know, I read that comment too. I didn't catch the second one, the reply to the spider comment, but I saw the first one. And, you know, I don't want to have to explain this every pod, but people, there's enough football content out there. And look, by the way, it's not to dismiss those who do jump in for the football chat. Thank you. We love you, and we're so glad that you want to be a part of that too. There are time codes. Like there is 45 minutes of football content here. So, and probably more in this show in particular. So, you know, we're not depriving you of that. But we don't get to chat more candidly. I'm very serious on all the content I do. Maybe loose cannons can be a bit of a laugh, but you know, from Goonerverse news to my analysis on Mondays to player ratings after every game to match reactions, there's plenty of videos of me just talking football. And Sheroy, man, like this is an hour that we want to touch in on everything to do with you, your life, your thoughts on Arsenal, everything. So again, for those at the back, that's why we do it. If you don't like it, it's time coded. If you really don't like it, that's so fine. Whatever. That's how I feel about it, quite frankly. Is that bad of me?
No, it's not, man. It's not. And I say this every week. For every comment like the one that Tom Claydon dropped, there are quite a few that say, you know what? We like hearing about your lives because you're not just football discussing robots. So big up to everyone in the comments that enjoys the slightly new look podcast anyway. And look, bro, Friday, 3 p.m. Surely everyone is getting ready to log off and head out and have a bit of a laugh and gear up towards the weekend, trying to bring the same energy, man. That's all.
No, exactly. We're just trying to have a bit of a laugh. So speaking of stories, I will say comment section, I didn't see a story, which was a touch disappointing. Did you catch one, Sheroy?
There is one, but I thought you were going to read it, so I didn't bring it up. Should I get it?
Oh, maybe I missed it. I did have a scan through. I saw some world class comments. So actually, if you don't mind, I'll quickly go through those right now.
You do that whilst I'm finding this story, because it was a good one. I just thought you would have picked it up.
So we obviously read last week's story, didn't we? The one that we didn't feel was appropriate for NordVPN.
Man, like twerk for work. Keep twerking, bro, wherever you are. Keep doing your thing.
So the story about him sort of getting into confrontation with, you know, a mother who had a baby. Someone replied, Reback Central replied, the story was real. I was the baby with the mum. And I thought that was good. But Twerk for Work, who also claimed to ice his balls at 7 a.m., there was a comment saying the story is real. I was the ice.
Good morning indeed. Good morning indeed.
Oh, you lot of jokes. And then I saw this from Courtney, which I thought I'd reply to. Guys, dead serious. If we win the league this season, I'm getting an Arsenal tattoo. I'd love your opinions. Do I do the canon, our old school A, AFC, etc.? Any ideas? I'll share a pic when it's permanent. Come on, you Gunners. How do you feel about like team tattoos and things like that, Sheroy? Are we encouraging this? Are we telling Corny to go get it? And then what are we recommending?
I've got to be careful what I say, because I know that one of the more intimidating podcasters that we know, Mr. Turkish LDN, does have the Arsenal A on his hand, doesn't he?
Oh yeah, and that's why I think by all means get one, man. Looks great. Do it.
If it, you know what, try, because tattoos are permanent. I mean, they're difficult to get removed. If you have, I don't know, someone in your life that you're trying to convince that you really care about, their name begins with an A, bro, get the A and style it out and say it's for them too. 2 birds of 1 stone. That's my personal opinion. That's me. I'm sorry. I'm still also trying to find this story. I don't know where it's gone.
No worries. Well, here's my take. I actually, all jokes aside, I think Turkish's one looks really cool. The A on his hand, and I actually think, look, there's not many like loves for the whole of your life, and football might well be one of them. So, do you know what I mean? Like, it's not. Go on, Sheroy. What's that?
Not just one of them, but like arguably for many of us blokes, like it's the first. I can hand on heart say that Arsenal is probably the first love of my life, and certainly the longest lasting so far outside of like my immediate family. So
comfortably the longest lasting. Yeah. I think I was like even a bratty teenager for a few years, and like only started like really loving my family when I was 20. So Arsenal even outlast them. So
20. Well, I'm pretty sure there's loads of your family members listening now that did not know it was only at 20. You're going to have some answering to do after they listen to this, bro.
Absolutely. But the important thing is they listened, and hopefully they left a comment feeling frustrated, which helps the algorithm, and everyone tunes in. So it's great.
Generally,
so I am obviously joking, people. Yeah, and I think if you want to get a tattoo to like remember a moment or to as a symbol of your love for Arsenal, I don't hate on it. Would I do it? I'm undecided. I don't know. I want a tattoo one day. I don't know if it's going to be Arsenal related.
Just wait until you're done with your PT and your wham. Because okay. I know you're on your journey. I know you're on that protein intake, that muscle building. Wait until you're stacked, bro. And then I think just Mike Tyson it and get the cannon near your right eye or something. So people cross the road when they see James Bayliss, bro.
A cannon down here or something, going around the eye or something. Yeah, okay,
I think it suits your personality.
Yeah, I think so too. I'll shave my head as well.
Mm-hmm.
I did, speaking of the PT, shout out TJ, who's brilliant, helping me weekly with all this. Man, it's hard work. And also, I mean, you guys won't be able to tell because I'm not even sure I'm doing half the exercises right. But the amount of eating, like, I'm sort of in and out of it. There's some days where I'm like, I just don't have time to eat that much. There's other days where I'm like, okay, I've got a bit of time. Like before the Arsenal game, I was like, right, I had like 4 things of salmon. Is it called a fillet of salmon?
Exactly.
You call it a fillet?
Yeah.
Just 4 of them. But that's just because I'm it's not even because I'm like trying to be good. I'm not saying, I need protein, let me eat loads. I'm so hungry because I'm running 3 times a week and doing other exercises, like exercise the other 3 or 4. So there you go. Do you find this? You exercise, don't you, Sheroy? Jim?
Yeah, but you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna tout for some sponsorship for the podcast. You know how you're saying that there's not enough time, bro. Meal prep is a big thing. I used to think that. I mean, you know the hours that I work, right? The key is prep in bulk, bro. Get your stuff organized on the weekend. And if there are any of these sponsors out there that do meal prep, I see you sponsoring other YouTube videos. Come to us and we'll plug it for you. Because just like NordVPN, bro, we live it. So I've got this story, by the way, if you want me to read it.
Wait, so what we're saying that HelloFresh we need basically?
Yeah, one of them, man. HelloFresh, Prep Kitchen, whatever. I'll take any of them, bro. What do you mean?
Yeah, fair enough. I'll reach out to them. Max, get on that, mate. Poor Max. He really does everything for me. He's not out there looking for brands. All right, you got the story. Hit me. What is it?
Kyle EV4CX. Last weekend, Battlefield 6 had a free-to-play trial. I don't have as much time to play my PS5 as I used to, but whenever I joined a lobby, I'd randomly blurt out, "What do you think of Tottenham?" Much to my disappointment, no one in the North American lobby understood the assignment. but I was determined to get a response. Around 1 a.m. I was losing faith, so I gave it one last go. Much to my surprise, my fiance's sleepy voice from a giant beanbag goes, "Shit." Naturally, I said, "What do you think of shit?" "Tottenham," she replies. "Beautiful, thank you. That's all right." And I go into a full volume, "We ate Tottenham, we ate Tottenham," and by the time I'm done, she was still fast asleep. Her talent to sleep through anything is something I'm quite jealous of, but I'm proud of the level of indoctrination that I have achieved. She barely remembers the interaction because she was asleep, which means even subconsciously, she loves the Arsenal and knows exactly what to think of the Spuds. Big man, you have managed to teach your girlfriend how to sing that chant in her sleep. You are top level Gooner already because of that story. So big up, Carl.
That's unbelievable.
That's wifey right there, bro. If you haven't already got her name tatted on you, that's one I endorse.
That is unbelievable. Like, in her sleep, just knew to heard it, knew just to naturally shout it back.
Yeah.
Fair, I don't think I'd do that. I think if someone shouted, "What do you think of Tottenham?" I think I'd be like, "What are you doing in my room?" Like, do you know what I mean? I don't think my brain would think to just sort of play along. But fair play. Apparently I laughed in my sleep the other night, according to Becky.
Do you have any? Do you remember your dreams? I can never remember mine.
I can remember. Yeah, I can remember some dreams. Some I remember really clearly. Some I don't. I don't know if I should be admitting this on a podcast that anything from 10 to 50,000 people might watch. I'm a bit of a snorer.
Oh no, I hate you lot. I can't stand it. It's so ridiculous.
No, I am.
Have you tried that mouth tape? Have you tried that mouth tape? Tape your stuff closed and then.
I've tried it. I'm gonna show you what I've tried. You keep talking to the audience. Tell everyone why you hate us.
You know what? I'm just gonna tell the audience my story of the week without James in a seat. Can you imagine if someone tunes in now? They're going to think I'm doing the Goonerverse podcast to an empty chair. Anyway, so a friend of mine has opened up a shop called Big Mum Samosas in Richmond, southwest London. If you haven't been down there, get down there. Right, it's a momentous occasion, so we go down there. Loads of people from back in the day are there. Anyway, we're all chilling outside. It's a little muse where they filmed Ted Lasso. It's exactly where they filmed Ted Lasso. So you know that sort of small muse where Ted Lasso lives? It's around there, right? Anyway, so one of my friends is standing there and there's a beautiful lady that walks past and he just goes, "Oh, hey, I'll try and strike up a conversation." He says, "Hey, where are you from?" She looks at him and says, "Oh, I'm from Malta." He says, "Raw, Malta. Spanish ting, yeah?" No, everyone in that little muse just went, "Oh my days." She looks at him and goes, "No, Malta. It's his own country." And he doubles down and he replies, he goes, "Raw, so like, you got your own flag and that, yeah?" And we were just sat there like, bro, come on now. Can't we see? This is what happens when you just leave me with the podcast to myself when I'm talking to a chair. This is exactly what happens.
Oh no, Spanish thing.
Spanish thing, yeah. Oh my god, I didn't even know what to say, bro. I didn't even know what to say. No. But you know, he's my boy. He's my boy, and I love him. What do you want me to do?
That is so funny. Fair play. All right, so I haven't tried the tape thing. I tried a few things. If there's anyone who's like a sleep expert who happens to watch this podcast, advice would be great. So I've tried a pillow up my back to stop me because I snore on my back because basically like my face collapses in. So on my side I'm a bit better, but I've also tried this, which is like basically see my amazing hairline. It's basically
this has to be the thumbnail, James.
Designed to stop this part of my mouth. Like that's basically the idea.
You're telling me that poor Becky, if she opens her eyes in the middle of the night, has to see what I'm seeing right now?
Not every night, because we realise it doesn't work that well. So basically that's kind of, that's basically the best I've got. I don't really use it anymore because it's not, it doesn't really help. Sorry. I mean, I don't know if they ever want to sponsor the podcast. I mean, by all means, like, you know, we'll take your money, but I don't think it works. So any advice would be great.
Comments, If you don't know the answer yourselves, please refer James to a sleep specialist so that he doesn't need to wear that thing again. I think we'd all agree that didn't look comfortable nor pleasant.
Or sexy. Like,
Oh,
do you know what I mean? It's
yeah.
not. It's not giving good morning. It's so nice to wake up to you today.
Yeah. Oh, brother, I'd turn straight back around if I saw that first thing in the morning, bro.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame you.
Yeah, I'd turn my back to you. If anything, it would make sure I don't snooze and I just get out of bed and leave the room immediately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have once or twice gone into the other room because I feel bad because I'm like, because I've woken myself up. I'm like, oh my, no, I can hear myself. I come out of here. So yeah. Anyway, for people who tune into the podcast for football and don't enjoy this bit, this is probably the most off tangent we've ever been. So, shall we finally talk football?
Yeah, you know what? I looked at the clock and we are 15 minutes in. This is long even by our standards.
We hit 17 minutes once, I think.
Ooh, was that with a little sponsorship intermission?
Yeah, you're right. So probably pound for pound. You're right.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well then, I'm just getting my time codes ready. Just wasting more time. Okay, let's talk about it. What should we start on? Shall we talk about how Gabriel Jesus has returned to win us the league? And how Mikel Arteta decided to run back 22-23 season with Saka and Martinelli either side of him, 6'2", left-footed, box-to-box midfielder with Ødegaard there too, a deep line playmaker, inverted left back, Ben White at right back overlapping. I mean, Arteta went, I'm bringing the script back. This is it. This is the side, but they're 3 years older and they're going to win it this time. Are you picking up that same feeling, Sheroy? Because that's the feeling I got from Mikel, a little bit ish.
Okay, I'm gonna be serious now. I know what you're doing, but I'm gonna be serious. Sorry to be the party pooper. When people speak about Gabriel Jesus and when people spoke about him throughout that 300 and some odd days that he was injured, a lot of people said he's done.
Yeah,
he's done. You know, we need to look. He's not only has the team evolved past him, but he didn't even look the same when he came back from the last injury. We think his career's over. No one really thought he was going to be included in the Champions League squad for this half of the season. I think a lot of people thought he'd be looking for a January move. I think Dalman's injury, of course, fast-tracked that.
Right, so were Arsenal really not going to include him?
I think if Dalman stayed fit, then Jesus may not have been included. I don't know, unless there's something
But apparently
to do with...
there was a space anyway.
Oh, was there?
Look, do you know what? Let's not speculate on that because I'm clearly guessing. Carry on.
But you just can't help but think when you see that little cameo that he put in against Bruges, that there was something infinitely more fluid about the attack. And I know that people are going to say it was late in the game was done, the opponents had given up, blah, blah, blah. I understand that, but the amount that he was involved in build-up play, which is something that a lot of people say Gyökeres is actually, I wouldn't say lacking in, but they say that, look, his hold-up play and his little knocks to involve the wingers and stuff and the runs that he makes, it gets the best out of the wingers. But prime Gabriel Jesus definitely gets the best out of the wingers. That Saka and Martinelli season, that breakthrough season when we had them both going, Jesus had an integral part to play in that. And he already showed in that little cameo that he had the technical ability that could really, really make the difference. Now, am I saying that we're going to run that back in terms of exactly that style of play? No, because we don't have the same personnel. I think football in general has changed, not just our football. But is he potentially yet another option to change the dynamic of a game that perhaps isn't going our way? Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And I think it's so crucial to ensure that we don't get him injured again. If we can keep him fit, that guy will definitely have something to say about that run-in. But having said that, this is all happy nostalgia. Again, looking at that Bruges cameo, he did a lot of what people complained about. Got into great positions, did absolutely everything, but when he had the opportunity to score, hits the bar, tame shot to the goalkeeper. Now, you'd like to think that his finishing will improve with the more minutes that he gets, but that was also a reminder of why even then people were saying, no, you need a proper 9. The beautiful thing is now, if you do need that 9 who's just there to poach in the 6-yard box, we've now acquired him. So we do also have an alternative option.
Yeah, and you're so right to flag that for all the good he did, he probably should have scored.
Yeah.
And that's what we've been talking about with him. I also completely agree. I said on my match reaction that there's when people were drafting up their squads for the season, what does Arsenal's depth look like? They sort of, I thought you were having a Guinness for a second. The way your thumb was reflected, and then obviously the black jumper. For a second, I thought, fair enough. I mean, it's Friday.
The work Christmas party as well. Yeah, tomorrow. So that'll be good. Right now, I'm having a lemon and ginger tea and a pint of water for anyone that's curious.
Okay, good work. People didn't have Jesus as even like someone who'd even play football for us this season at all. So I'm really happy for him, because he came on and reminded a lot of people in just a 20-30 minute cameo, there's a very good footballer there. And I think we sometimes almost act like, it's scientifically and medically impossible for these players to come back to their best. And actually, scientifically and medically, he's back on that pitch because his ACL is recovered. And then it becomes about the mind. Can he get to playing the kind of football that he used to be able to play before? So, yeah, I'm not saying that an ACL doesn't restrict you in some ways. Of course, it might at some point, maybe tighter muscles, maybe you lose a little bit of that agility to a degree. But I thought he looked very sharp. I thought he moved really, really well. It was good to see. Look, him, Havertz and Gyökeres all offer something completely different. Mourinho as well. So that in itself is a good thing. But Arteta can't change the three strikers week in, week out. He can't do that. He's really got to pick his guy. Who does he believe is going to get the best out of this team? Who does he believe is going to contribute the most? Now, I don't mind him not going for the out-and-out goal-scoring option, because Gyökeres hasn't been out-and-out goal-scoring. I've been giving Gyökeres credit for his work helping the team more than I have been being a cold-blooded finisher. I think Mourinho has been more what I expected Gyökeres to be. And weirdly, Gyökeres has been more what Mourinho should be as a midfielder playing up front. Now, Jesus can drop in and do what he does, and Kai Havertz might be the best blend of everyone. But even he lacks a little something. So maybe you go, all right, well, I want to go with someone who I know is very good at this rather than someone who's pretty good at everything. I don't know. Great problem to have. But at the same time, someone needs to rise above. They can't all just be like good 6 out of 10 options. Someone needs to rise above and make it their own. And I think as we sit here, Friday the 12th of December, Gabriel Jesus, I can't believe I'm saying this, has as good a chance as any of them of being Arsenal's starting striker. And that should not have been the situation that we're in. But top of the league, cruising the Champions League, we are in that position. So we welcome it rather than it being a concern.
Yeah, let's just say come Christmas, top of the Champions League, top of the Premier League, or let's say, worst case scenario, second in the Premier League, 2 points behind City, whatever, it could happen, right? You're in everything and you're in a healthy position and everything. But a striker
Carabao Cup semis. Take that, please. I want that. Yep.
Although I do worry about the amount we're going to rotate in that tie anyway, but I'll leave that for another pod.
Yeah.
You then have those 4 individuals that you just mentioned all going, the midfield kind of picks itself, doesn't it? And none of us are really wingers. We're not going to start ahead of Trossard. We're not going to start ahead of Saka. We're not going to start ahead of Martinelli. We're not going to start ahead of Eze. We're not going to start ahead of Madueke. This is probably the only position where we're going to get the minutes that we want. You have one guy who's come in and basically gone on strike over the summer to get his move to Arsenal and is a guy that clearly craves goals, right? He was almost robotic, like the Terminator, when he spoke about goals pre-season. You've got another guy who probably isn't going to start in midfield in Mikel Merino that's going, well, I have shown that I can outscore the strikers that we have, and I do want to play in this team. I've got a World Cup coming up, and it's a competitive midfield, that Spanish midfield. I want to make sure I nail my place down. You got Kai Havertz, who looked pretty good pre-season. Still, I think he feels as though he hasn't reached his full potential in an Arsenal shirt, and I think in his mind he does feel as though he is Mikel Arteta's first choice striker when fit, and I think a lot of people feel that way too. Again, exactly the same with Germany. And then you've got Jesus, who left Manchester City and said, no, I want the number 9 shirt. I'm not a winger. I want to play down the middle. And a man who's worked his arse off to get back, not on time, get back from injury early. Yeah, Mikel Arteta said it. He said, we were all expecting him to be back only training with us in December. But he was telling everyone at the training ground, no, I'll be back before that. And he put in that work and he started training with us weeks ago. So now he's starting for us in the Champions League and looking pretty good in December. Every single one of them could go, I can be the man. I can be the man to make the difference and get us over the line for the first time in over 2 decades. I want that to be me. If you need any more motivation than that, we've got a very different conversation to have.
Totally agree with you, mate. We could do more on Jesus, but this is ultimately a news podcast. I know I shouldn't really even be talking about it because this is exactly what they want, but let's talk about Paul Scholes and this clip that did the rounds from his podcast. Have you caught the clip? Have you seen the quotes?
I saw one quote, which is that man saying that Arsenal can't win the league because they can't win a big game, and I scrolled past it as soon as I heard that, but I assume there was more to it, so please do update me, and I'll give you my honest and instant opinion.
So let me give some context to this for those who haven't heard it. Paul Scholes on his podcast with, is it Paddy McGuinness, the guy who used to do
Paddy McGuinness, yeah.
Take Me Out? What a show.
I know.
Did you ever watch that?
I used to love it until he started nodding along with Paul Scholes in the clip that I saw, and he said, yeah, I know they can't win a big game. And at that point, I was like, I'm not going to sit here and praise you for being on Take Me Out, Paddy, even though I think you're an incredibly funny man. Bun you, bro.
Take Me Out was elite content. For those who didn't see it, there'd be like 20 girls. Was it always girls, or would it flipping be guys? There was 20.
Oh, no, I think it was actually. From memory, it was always guys that came down the little elevator thing, wasn't it?
I think so. So it'd be like 20 girls, and a guy would come down the lift and he'd walk out, and basically they would be like separate rounds, and each round girls can turn their light off, and if they turn their light off, it means they're not interested. So literally like real life, literally that. So like it was brutal. This is typical 2010s TV. So like they'd come down the elevator, they'd walk out, and then the girls would just literally be like, oh, I thought that'd be more dramatic. It didn't really work. But you get my point. I turned my light off.
Was that you trying to turn a light off, bro?
That was me trying to turn a light off. I've got another light here. Didn't do anything either. Okay, you all get the point. Oh, and I've ruined the lighting. You all get the point. They turn the lights off, and then they'd say what they do, and then they would turn more lights off, and then it'd be left with like the last 3-4 girls, and then he'd have to go and pick the one he wants to take to the Isle of Fernando or something. Yeah. It was a great show. Anyway. Massive tangent. So he's on it with Nicky Butt and Paul Scholes. So I struggle with Paul Scholes and Roy Keane. It tends to be a lot of ex-Man United players, actually, and that kind of era of Man United players. I struggle with a lot of their punditry because I do feel like they still talk like the game was the way it was 10, 15, 20 years ago, as opposed to talking about how the game is now. That's not me professing to know more about the game than they do. Absolutely not. But they just don't look at it through that new lens, right? And so I struggle in general. So whenever I listen to them with the take, I do sometimes say to myself, James, just stop. Just calm down. Hear what they're saying. Do they have a point? Now, Paul Scholes came out and said, basically, Arsenal aren't winning big games, and they've got no hope of winning the Premier League if they can't win big games. And I just sat there and I thought, like, you know, I will forever respect what you've done in the game. One of the most intelligent midfielders England has produced, brilliantly technical player, doesn't get the credit he deserves as a player. But I'm like, my friend, like, all we were known for the last 3 years was winning big games. It's like the only thing we did. Like, our record in the big 6 games was phenomenal, like extraordinary. We've beaten Bayern Munich and Tottenham like 2 weeks ago. We won at Newcastle this year. We won at Old Trafford. And we lost to a 95th minute winner from Villa and a wonder free kick from Szoboszlai. We went to the Bernabeu and won 2-1 this calendar year. We smashed City 5-1 this calendar year. And I'm just like, are you purposely rage baiting and trying to get this kind of reaction and conversation? Because now everyone knows about their podcast, right? So well done. Maybe you've played me. Well done. Or are you just completely unresearched, going with footballing cliches, and basically, with all the respect in the world, don't really know enough about what you're mentioning in this particular topic you're going down? Because then I tried to think about it from another perspective. Well, does he have a point? We weren't good enough at Sunderland. Second half we were very good, but overall in the 90, we weren't good enough at Chelsea. We weren't good enough at Villa. Okay, maybe he's got a point here. That's 3 away games in a row. And maybe he'll hang on to things like us drawing at the Etihad, not going for the win. We have a won at Anfield under Arteta in the league. And the Etihad, all those things. And okay, maybe there's something there. But then I thought Rory Talks Football made a really good point on a TikTok he did. City aren't winning these big games away, although they've just beaten Real Madrid, to be fair. But City aren't winning these big games in the league. They lost at Newcastle, at Brighton, at Villa as well, at whoever, at Tottenham at home. Like, so one of these teams is going to win the league, but they've got the same problem. So this whole, you've got no chance of winning the league if you're not, doesn't add up either. That's my rant on it. I don't know. Like I said, my respect always goes out to the legends of the game who have achieved things I can never hope to achieve. But I just thought it was weak analysis of Arsenal and where they could fall short in the title race.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and limit my analysis of his comments to this season, because I assume he was talking about this season, unless he was saying it's something that's plagued us historically. As I said, I haven't watched the whole thing, but
and sorry, Sheroy, he might have done. To be fair, he might have done, and I might be falling for the whole. I've watched a clip. Maybe in the podcast he quantifies that, and I look an idiot. I literally had that did to me with a clip from the club when I was talking about Gyökeres. So I appreciate that can be frustrating, but I don't even think it's that fair a point for this season. But please carry on.
So that's the lens through which I want to look at it. And all too well, I'm quite big on specificity of language, right? And big games means sweet F4, because even when you were analysing it, you went to what a lot of people would do and say, well, look at our Big Six record. But you then started referring games like Sunderland, like Newcastle. They're also, in the context of a season, big games because of what's happened around you in the context of the game or whatever. So let's look at Big Six games this season. Old Trafford, we didn't look good, but we did win. However, Anfield, lost. Chelsea, drew. Felt to quite a few like a loss. City, we were behind for a lot of the game. Got a last-minute one at home, and Tottenham was Tottenham, right? So maybe there's a point there. However, when you're looking at big games, you're right to point to the Newcastle one. That was big, and that felt big. We all spoke about it at the time, right? Brentford, after Chelsea, not a huge opponent, but kind of felt big. Because we thought, well, we have to win that. Otherwise, there is suddenly a conversation. Palace coming to us. Palace were in fantastic form. It was a tight 1-0. We got over the line there. Ultimately, the Old Trafford one was a big game. It's opening day of the season. There are so many of them that are big, big games, and that's just this season alone. Where I think it was your boy actually, Alex Moneypenny, did a pretty good reel about the big games that we have won, comparing it to the other teams like Liverpool and City in their title-winning seasons. If you guys haven't checked that out, go and check that out. But there really wasn't that much in it. But what I would say is this, man. When the game at the Emirates finished against City, I sat there and immediately looked at the timing of that Etihad game, and I thought, well, this might have been an opportunity to put a potential title competitor to bed, and we didn't take it. Is this game at the Etihad going to be a lot closer than it may have been had we damaged City's confidence even more by beating them? The game against Chelsea, for example, I was then sat there going, well, I can't wait until these guys come to the Emirates. But we do have to do it to them at the Emirates. Not saying that we won't, but it's not a foregone conclusion. We can't just assume that we are going to beat them when they come to the Emirates, right? Yes, we've gone to Anfield. Yes, Liverpool come to us in January. But Liverpool now, with Salah looking like he's not going to be involved for a while, maybe that's the sort of moment that it takes to galvanise a team and have that siege mentality. And to be fair, it did kind of show midweek against Milan, right? That there is an element of solidarity, and they are going to come out fighting, and their players are coming out and saying the right things, and the manager's being quite sort of steadfast in his approach. So maybe not getting that point at Anfield could come back. I mean, forget a point, Scholes is talking about winning that game, and I'm sitting here talking about a draw that we could have come away with. So I'm not saying that I'm giving credence to what Paul Scholes is saying here. I'm saying that there are certain things that I've been thinking myself as to some of these results, but all it does is it fills me with curiosity as to how we're going to react at the business end of the season when these fixtures do come back. Look, it's an interesting one. I don't agree with the observation, and for what it's worth, I do agree with you. I think we have been played by talking about it. I think he knew exactly what he was doing. No one would have known that he had a podcast with Paddy Bloody McGuinness and Nicky Butt until he did something like that, and that's obviously the one that's done the rounds, and people will probably tune in going forward. It's the name of the game. Fair enough. anyone that wants to know what we think about rage baiting, we did a whole podcast on it. Go back and check it out. But are you all concerned with the fact that our Big Six record this season hasn't quite emulated our Big Six record over the last 2 seasons? Or is it wait until the end of the season once we've seen the other leg of it, and I'll tell you?
I think, like, to be concerned, I'd have to see others rising above that. And, you know, take City, for example. They lost to Tottenham. Like,
and they always do, by the way.
Yeah, and they always do, you're right. But, you know, Chelsea, cool. Like, they look good against us. They beat Liverpool. But their results have been a disaster since then. They've lost to Atalanta. They drew at Bournemouth. They got slapped by Leeds 3-1. Liverpool, I mean, big game or not big game, they haven't been at it. I don't know. Honestly, it never remotely crossed my mind until you asked me that question there. I just thought,
I think that's your answer then. I think the answer is no. If it didn't even cross your mind, it's definitely not something you're concerned about. It goes to what you were saying about the way that they view football. I know a lot of the analysis, even when you were accused of celebrating the draw against City, right? A lot of that era of pundit came out and said, well, no, you have to go there and win. That's the only way that you win the title. But ultimately, that is
which wasn't true. Like, do you know what I mean? Like I think someone did the maths on this. In all the years winning,
it was when they used to play. It was when
I don't know if it was. Someone did the maths, and I think it was something like 3 of the last 15 years had the team in first place beaten the team in second place away from home. I think it happened like 3 or 4 times. And if I need to go do the maths and check it myself, I will go do the maths and check it myself. But even just off memory, like in all the years that City beat Liverpool to the title, they never went to Anfield and won. Like, they never did that. And I think the one year they did, they won 4-1 behind closed doors. There was no crowd, and Liverpool finished like 4th or something. It's just, even that kind of analysis was just not true. And it was just, because, you know, I remember when that 0-0 happened, and, you know, I know we laugh about the meme and all that, but like, it was so misunderstood. And the reason I say that is because people thought I was celebrating a draw, right? Yeah, it looks that way, cool. What I was, if you want to use the word celebrating, I mean, if doing that and saying, come on, you know, well played, good effort means celebrating, then cool. I wouldn't want to go to your parties. But, but what I was doing was taking genuine pride in my team 12 months on from getting battered 4-1 in the biggest game they'd had in years and years and years, showing major growth and showing that they could compete and mix up with the big guys. And that 0-0 was the catalyst for going to the Bernabeu and winning 2-1. And any other big away performance we've had after that, and we had some before, but from that moment, when we went to treble-winning Man City, who were about to win their 4th title in a row, and we got a point to keep us 2 points clear of them in the title race. I saw that, and I genuinely believe the team saw that as, we belong here. Whether we go over the line or not, we belong here. We followed that up with a win at Tottenham and a win at Man United in the run-in, in the hardest of contexts. We went and won those games. So I know what I saw that day, and I like to think it's proved true. Twitter will never see it that way. The trolls and the rivals will never see it that way. And some obtuse thinking pundits may not think about it that way. But I know what I saw, and that's how I see it. Now, again, pulled back to that analysis, though, the bigger thing of, do you have to win away? And we might say, well, their era did that. I don't remember Sir Alex Ferguson's 08, 09 or 07, 08 or whatever, going away and always smashing, whether it be Chelsea or Arsenal or whoever it was that finished second to them. You know, I don't remember them doing that. Comment section, correct me if I'm wrong. But certainly from, call it 2010, 2012 onwards, you never really saw that level of dominance from a title-winning side over their second-place challengers. You never saw that. So again, it feels to me like forced, made-up analysis to just beat Arsenal with another stick, rather than doing what Gary Neville did brilliantly, which is just go. And to be fair, Carragher kind of said this too. They basically just said, "You lost. You know, you lost to Villa." 95th minute. You could have won that game. You probably didn't deserve a draw. Villa were very good. On you go. Instead of that, you get all this. It's just I don't know.
So look, it's the name of the game, though. It's the name of the game because how many people are talking about what Neville said? How many people are talking about what Carragher said? No one, because it's not fun for rival fans to listen to. Whereas a lot of people are talking about what Scholes said, right? So, Paul Scholes, you've done a lot of things in your life and your personal life that I question, my friend. But with that one, if you wanted clicks, you got it spot on. You got it spot on.
I have to ask you, mate, about this Salah thing as well. We're going to talk. I said we'd mention transfers, so we'll leave that to the last 15 minutes of the show. But Salah, man, just give me your take. I've spoken about this so much. What's your take on it? For those who've been living under a rock, he's come out and spoken publicly and said he's been thrown under a bus. He's got no relationship with Slot, and he basically believes he's not wanted at the club anymore. That's what he said in an explosive interview with journalists, essentially post the Leeds 3-3 draw.
Yeah, he was in the Sky Sports mix zone where I think he turned up voluntarily, right? Look, I was speaking to one of my Liverpool fan friends about this, and he said, I find it really, really hard to believe that none of the analysis around this is sitting there potentially giving credence to what Mo Salah is saying about someone in the club trying to force him out because of the fact that he's underperforming, but so are a lot of their other big money signings or re-signings. And he's the easiest one to boot out so they can recoup 400 grand a week, get the money that they may have wanted to take from Saudi a couple of years ago, maybe get it in January, balance the wage books, and then make things slightly more palatable. A lot of people seem to be dismissing that and focusing on his comments about being thrown under the bus as opposed to focusing upon his comment that, look, I think someone at the club wants me out. That's one thing. However, bro, football clubs, particularly institutions the size of Liverpool, in many ways, not only when you play for them, but when you're a legend of that club and when you're an ambassador of them, I'm not a bloody elite footballer, what do I know? But I would like to think that you would treat it like a family, which is where even if things aren't great behind closed doors, you try and squash it with your family first and you don't air your dirty laundry in public. And when you go out to that family function, you put on a brave face and you show that unity, right? Because the ultimate priority has to be what's going to get Liverpool Football Club back to where it needs to be in terms of performances on the pitch. Now, on the other hand, a lot of people might say, well, maybe their performances on the pitch are going to improve now. Maybe that has indirectly, not in the way that he intended. Maybe it has galvanized them and given them that siege mentality that they were talking about. Only time will tell. I certainly don't think I would like it if it was one of my players. I wouldn't want to see that from any Arsenal player. But it's becoming a bit too venomous now. I think when you're looking at the way in which particular pundits are discussing it, when you're looking at the level to which Salah said that I feel like I'm being thrown under a bus by the club. Gerrard, I think, dealt with it best. I don't know if you've heard his segment on it.
That was the best explanation of the whole situation, the best analysis of the situation. I thought Gerrard did a brilliant job with that. Job with that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's because Gerrard is, again, someone that bleeds Liverpool Football Club. And he ultimately was just coming at it from, look, man, we're all adults. Sometimes we say shit we don't mean. We're emotional people. The guy's got an ego. The best players do. I lived it with Suarez. Mo Salah needs to be back to his best for Liverpool Football Club. And Liverpool Football Club need to be back at their best for Mo Salah. I did think, though, what Arne Slot said midweek after the game was telling. He said, look, I understand this whole let's squash it thing, but why does the initiative have to come from me? That strikes me as maybe like a Cold War, where two men have egos and neither is going to be willing to come to the table. And when that happens, you end up like Arteta and Aubameyang, I think, where one person has to go. I don't know.
I've found this difficult to speak about. I've spoken about it a couple of times on Goonerverse News. I've spoken about it on the club. The reason I find it difficult to speak about is because we all don't know enough. The reality is none of us should really be giving too strong an opinion on it because we don't really know enough of what's going on. It's not like when we're watching football. It's not like when we're watching a manager's tactical decisions. Whether you're informed enough is a different thing in terms of your understanding, but we've all seen what's going on. With this, we don't. So there's just so much stuff I just find really difficult to accept. For example, when I say accept, I'm not losing sleep over this. If I were a Liverpool fan, it'd be different. But I'm not. I think we're so focused on Salah shouldn't have said it in this way, that we're not focusing on what he's actually said. And what he's actually said could be pretty damning for Liverpool Football Club, which is, I believe I'm being made a scapegoat. I believe I'm not wanted. I believe they're blaming me. They're not standing by and protecting me where other clubs would protect their players. Now, if that's all true, and some people will go, well, how could that possibly be true, James? He just got dropped because he wasn't playing very well. Konate's been a shambles all season, kept his place in the team. Isak and Wirtz have not set the world alight. Now, to be fair, they have been pulled in and out of the team, but they seem to be getting the backing a lot more than Mo Salah. Some people, like Jamie Carragher, made his lack of defending, Salah's lack of defending, a real like key part of his analysis, right? But Salah came out and said that Arne Slot told him not to worry about defending because we want the output. So if suddenly the instructions flip this year, I wouldn't be surprised if Salah's going, wait, what? Last year this worked and I delivered, and now as I'm getting older and maybe my legs are going, you suddenly want all this from me. And I can understand that. And my theory goes, and I don't think I believe this, but I'm just pondering, I'm just asking the question. Did Liverpool not want to lose two of Trent, Van Dijk and Salah? And knowing they were losing Trent, they had to keep the other two. Therefore, they had to meet Salah's demands, which they wouldn't have wanted to do because he was a sellable asset where they could have got a lot of money. They've gone and brought in Isak and Ekitike to prepare for the eventual leave of Salah, and are going to get Antoine Semenyo as well, again, to ease the departure of a club legend who, had they let him go in the summer, would never have been tolerated by the fans. Now, some people will go, James, nonsense. Others will go, well, football's a business.
Does it not make sense, though?
It worryingly makes sense. Now, if that is the truth, if that is what's going on, and Salah's caught wind of this, then you're actually starting to look at his quotes and go, oh, wow, he didn't say enough. He actually didn't, because that's unacceptable.
Yeah.
That's unacceptable to treat a player like that, if that's true. And none of Jamie Carragher's analysis, and quite a lot of other journalists and Liverpool fans or whatever, have looked at why did Salah say this? Now, may I say, he very easily could have just been in a bad mood because he was benched 3 times. Very possible. Salah has been a little bit petulant in his career. So that is totally, utterly possible. But I'd rather not cast judgment on his actions until I know what's going on properly. And Gerrard, I'm so glad you brought him up, he said it the best. Steven Gerrard said, if this isn't resolved soon, there's more to it than we know. I think, I paraphrase, but in fact, I've got the exact quote because I tweeted it because I thought it was that good. He said, let me find it. Sorry, one sec. If this goes on, it's bigger than what we all see. And I couldn't agree with Steven Gerrard more. That's absolutely it. If this really goes on, the way Slot's talking in press conferences, by the way, Slot's communication is far from perfect. He's thrown Trent under the bus. He's thrown his Liverpool right back under the bus. He's moaned about other teams' tactics. He's been a shambles of a coach this season. So it's not act like everything is going swimmingly for Arne Slot right now. I don't know. I just think, I know I sound very passionate. I know I sound like I'm really in defense of Salah. I'm more actually passionate about the lack of balance in the discussing of such a massive thing for a massive football club. I felt it's lacked balance and it's lacked nuance, a lot of it. It's just been, you shouldn't air dirty laundry, therefore you're bad, therefore we're angry. Okay, yeah, no, sure, that's bad, but why are we not asking that? Sorry for the rant again, Sheroy.
No, I agree. I agree. And as I said, look, my instinct is, just as a person, not to wear your dirty laundry in public. But I did begin by saying, is it too far-fetched to suggest that they do want to let him go in January to free up those wages, recoup some money that they thought they were going to get before he ran his contract down? Have they ultimately played a blinder? Have they pushed a man that they know has previous for being somewhat forthright and petulant in the media? Has he gone and done exactly what they wanted him to do? Have they played a blinder? Only time will tell. But you're right, we won't know. And the only reason anyone's speaking about it, look, no one would give a shit if this was some squad player in a mid-table team. This is a Premier League great. This is arguably, for many, the best winger the league's ever seen outside of Cristiano Ronaldo in his prime. For many, right? I mean that's the guy that we're talking about here. And this has, I'm not going to use the word propensity because someone in the comments said have a shot every time Sheroy uses the word propensity. This has the potential This absolutely has the potential to be one of the saddest ends to an absolutely legendary career. And no one wants to see that. I don't want to see that, and I'm not a Liverpool fan.
I actually don't think it will go that way. If it does go that way, then it's like Steven Gerrard said, there's way more to this. And suddenly all those theories that I'm just putting there to discuss, I think carry a lot more weight, but let's see. Yeah. All right, final 10 minutes. We'll preview the transfer window, mainly because I think I'm going to put this in the title. So we really should preview it. Listen, man, I don't know what there is to say. I don't know what there is to say. I know there's a lot to say, but I don't know what direction to go in, because I'd argue the injury crisis means we need a defender. I think the general position going into this season, the one that felt unaddressed was a left winger. I think a lot of people thought that's kind of the only area we didn't add necessarily an upgrade to. But I think what's really emerged as the area that's maybe lacked some truly trusted depth is actually and where we've been linked the most. I mean, yes, they've been linked to Antoine Semenyo a little bit. Bahoya, I think, the Frankfurt winger, if I'm not mistaken. But really, it's Ayoub Bouadi, the Lille 18-year-old, who looks very, very good. And I talked about him on the Goonerverse on Monday. And I forgot his first name, but Rodrigo Mendoza, I think he is. Elche midfielder, 6'1", 20 years old, wanted by some big clubs, covered by Sam Dean, and given the hand of Arsenal thumbs up, which says there's really something in it. It feels like that's the area of the pitch Arsenal might look to do something, Sheroy. Is it the area they should?
Yeah, I mean, one thing I would say is that if you're talking about the January window, Arsenal, absent some sort of absolute crisis at the beginning of the season, very rarely do any business at all. And if there is business done, it's often one signing. So I'm not sitting here suggesting that we are going to bring in a defender and a midfielder and maybe a winger. The other point that I would make is, yes, there was a lot of talk about the left wing, but then we did bring in Eze. And even though he hasn't looked great on the left wing, I'm not writing him off there just yet. And we now have Martinelli, who's the first Arsenal player in history to score 5 in 5 in the Champions League. And we also have Trossard, who many say is, in fact, our most informed forward. So I think the attention and the spotlight has been taken away from the left wing somewhat. And that's also, of course, with Madueke, who sometimes gets minutes there as well. So I think that's unlikely. The defensive crisis, one of the reasons why I don't think we'd spend money in the defensive area is because it is an absolute crisis that we have been hit with. And even then, we do manage to put numbers out. Today, I think, was a precaution with Timber. I certainly hope so. I say today, you guys are watching this on Friday, apologies. Wednesday night was I think, precautionary with Timber. And we're still managing to put out a high-level defensive line. I don't think we will buy a defender, which is why all eyes for me do point towards central midfield, particularly because Norgard is absolutely not being used anywhere near enough in that position. Zubimendi is getting more minutes than I ever thought he would in his first season in the Premier League. My God. Declan Rice, not just in terms of minutes, but the absolute catastrophic impact that would have upon our hopes for this season if that man were to go down. I think he needs more protection, and it's exactly the word that you use, bro. It's not just a midfield option, it's a trusted midfield option. I think it was Turkish that said it on the Loose Cannons, where he said Jorginho absolutely would have had minutes in a lot of these games where Norgard hasn't. And I can't remember whether I did just say this or not, but Marino isn't being used in that position, and I think with good reason at times. Looking at the options that you just named, I personally am more concerned with cover for Declan Rice. And one of the main things that Declan Rice does that I think not many players in the world can do, it's that absolutely relentless ability to not only track your man, but that sort of sprawled out leg to win the ball back at the most ridiculous angle possible, and do it not just in the middle of the park, but do it when you're running back and you're doing it right in front of your back four. And for that reason and that reason alone, bro, I don't know how much you've watched of Bouadi. I haven't watched a hell of a lot, but I've watched enough. That boy does that I'm not going to say in exactly the same way as Rice, because that would absolutely be hyperbole, because it's a player that I'm interested in. But it looks akin to it. It really looks akin to it. And if you can do that in higher areas of the pitch, it has the potential to really, really impact your ball winning in dangerous areas. So I know that he's has he signed that new contract, or is that still rumored?
Yeah, he did. And the person who linked us said we're really trying for this guy. Did say he was probably going to sign a new contract. That's what Lille wanted to maintain a value. Yeah. So I don't really think that a lot of people comment on my videos going, he signed a new contract, he's not moving. It's like, okay, maybe not in January, but And
Yeah, but
also, I don't think we necessarily.
We gave Reece a contract, didn't we? We gave Eddie a contract. We've given a lot of players contracts, and now they're playing at other clubs. That's the way of the world, man. It makes sense from a business perspective, but he's definitely of the mold.
Yeah, you're right. He's got this kind of languid driving style as well. When I look at the way Zubimendi burst forward, look at that Bruges second goal. He bursts forward and whips it in with his left foot. Declan Rice, the way he tackles, the way he gallops up the pitch. Even Marino, 6'2" midfielder who's kind of asked to do a little bit of everything defensively and getting forward. Does feel a really good fit, but he's got a real technical level as well. And I want that. I want to be careful I say this, because I think Rice and Marino are technically better than they're given credit for, especially Declan Rice. I think he's technically very, very good. And Zubimendi, of course, we know is technically brilliant. I don't think we've got a central midfield like a little like an eel. Someone who can just like slide in and out of tackles. Do you know what I mean? Who just like glides across the pitch. Jack Wilshere, Diaby style. I think Rice is powerful. I think Zubimendi's neat. I think Marino is efficient. But I don't think we've got someone who really can move in that central midfield. And I'm talking the highest level. I think you all know the type of player I'm mentioning. I've just mentioned 2 Arsenal players, but dare I say like a Gravenberch? If you look at the modern game, like he just glides through the pitch, doesn't he? I don't think we have that. And so if Arsenal could go and get that type of player, I think Buadi looks like he could be. Mendoza looks nice and flary too. That'd be interesting. But yeah, I mean, for the sake of calling this a preview, Andrea Berta came in. He came in hot in the summer. And he got Zubimendi tied up, which was the work of the club before. He then brought in another 7 signings. He left no stone unturned. He managed to get things like Nkapie as a loan deal, where he came up with his creative solution whereby Leverkusen could basically go and trigger the release, the mandatory obligation to buy. They could trigger it too, if we wanted. He managed to get Kivior out, managed to get Zinchenko out the door at the very end on deadline day when none of us had heard anything about it. The squad was left in just very, very good shape. And I think he's someone who, he didn't just do that because that was a requirement. That's what he was asked to do. I think he did that because I think he enjoys doing it. I think he enjoys buying footballers. And I think if there's a budget there, he'll go to Arteta with some players and go, just found this 20-year-old Spanish kid, a bit like Mosquera, but in midfield. Do you fancy it? I've also got this guy potentially. I've been working on that deal. Or see this deal we're going to do in the summer. We can bring it forward because I think we're on for all 4 comps. That's the messaging I think he'll be pushing, and it'll be up to Mikel Arteta whether he wants to go with it. And I think Arsenal will sign someone in January. I just don't know who or what, but I think that mould of young central midfielder, not expected to play every game, but can cover. And therefore, if we have another striker crisis, Marino can play up front, a defender crisis, Norgard and Rice can drop back. I think the midfield is the one they'll try to do.
Yeah, I think a lot of it depends on what the squad looks like come January. If we're in a position where, by hook or by crook, the vast majority of players are fit, the senior hierarchy at the club might be like, yeah, you're talking about buying players, but you've got players like Ethan Nwaneri, Gabriel Jesus, not even in the matchday squad, for example. That could be a possibility. So, well, hold off here. Let's wait until the summer. Let's see if certain players need to leave, and let's address it then. Which isn't necessarily the end of the world. But if we're in a position where injuries are starting to pile up, it looks like they're all in clusters in one particular area. Given the way that, there's something in my eye. I'll carry on. Given the way that the club moved. Given the way that the club moved over the summer with this sort of win now window and this idea that we're not going to leave any stone unturned, it does lead me to believe that they will continue not to leave any stone unturned, because I think they feel the heat in terms of what needs to be done this year, and nothing exemplified that heat more than the reaction of those boys when that second goal went in against Villa. That really did look like they just lost a World Cup final, and it was what Cara and Neville described as just another game in December, right? And that the reaction certainly did not look like it was just another game in December. So I think everyone at the club understands the credence that is being placed upon this season. So it's not just external, it's internal too.
Okay. Final minute. Just want to quickly ask you this. Arsenal host Wolves on Saturday at 8 p.m. Sunday at 2, Crystal Palace host Manchester City, which is a huge game. So City go away, where we've had a bit of a run of away games, sort of like a difficult run of 3. They go to Palace, who are in good form. well, Arsenal have a home game, but crucially, Arsenal have 3 of their next 4 Premier League games at home, where City have 3 of the next 4 away. Same with Villa. We shouldn't discount them. Villa this weekend go to West Ham. So, and just any quick thoughts on that?
You say Palace are an informed team. Not only are they in an informed team, but even when they're not in great form, they're another bogey team for City. In the same way that people talk about Tottenham's record against City, I believe that Palace at their ground have a pretty good record against them too. One thing I did say, bro, earlier on in the season is anyone that thinks we're going to have it all our own way is just being a bit silly, really. There will be a point where the lead will shrink, and there might be a point where it will grow. There might be a point where we're second. Who knows? Winning a Premier League's a fight. The only thing I have to say about this run of games is I think we're ready. I'm not overly worried about what we've seen. I'm excited to watch it. Bring it on, bro. Let the season roll on.
Agree with all that. All right, we're going to leave it there, people. Bang on the hour mark. Wow. Nailed it.
Not bad.
Everyone do hype the video if you enjoyed it. Do subscribe to the channel if you haven't. The Goonerverse is the home of just my analysis content. Deep dives here with Sheroy every Friday. Mondays we do analysis over what's gone on the weekend, and we do a player ratings live stream and news live streams, which we haven't had to do in a while. We haven't had major news like that, but anything like that will be covered on live streams on the Goonerverse too, along with player ratings, like I said. Goonerverse News is where I'm just reacting to the trending topics, the stories, all of that, and telling you what everyone's talking about right now in the Arsenal space. So yeah, do subscribe to whichever you're interested in, or both, ideally, if you are. And a big thanks to Sheroy as always. Sheroy's voice is there in the link in the description below. I do sometimes forget. I'm sorry, but I will be remembering.
Nothing to apologise for. That channel has sadly been dormant for what is now approaching a year. So this channel is exactly where you will find me. So subscribe to this channel for now if you want to see me, guys.
Fine, but time to bring it back. All right, we'll leave it there. Big thanks, everyone. And we will be back next week. Not quite sure when, but we will. Should be a Friday piece of content. All right, love everyone. In a bit.